Hello and welcome to Aviation Sustainability Africa podcast, ASAP, the show that explores the socio-economic impact and the implication of climate change for the global aviation industry with particular focus on the African continent. In today's episodes, we will discuss revolutionizing the urban air mobility. And my guest is Yvonne. We shall discuss of how FlyNow is revolutionizing a urban air mobility space. Welcome to the show, Yvonne.
Thank you, Tony, for having me. It's a great pleasure. And since you invited me to Aviators Africa in Johannesburg last year, I'm a really big fan of you, and especially your multiple activities in pushing collaboration of the aviation industries throughout the continent of Africa.
Amazing. Thank you very much. That's very heartwarming. Let's not forget, I forgot to introduce you that you're the Chief Operating Officer of FlyNow. So let's dive on as we take off for this show. It's going to last us about the flight time. It's going to be approximately 1 hour. Tell us about FlyNow.
Yeah, so FlyNow Aviation was established in 2019 in Salzburg, which is in Austria, and we have an innovative eVTOL startup. eVTOL stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing, and our company is specialized in developing a modular eVTOL family, which is offering a cost-optimized mobility solution in cargo and as well passenger segment, revolutionizing, as you already mentioned in the beginning, the urban air mobility across continents.
Fantastic. So, what is the current state of eVTOL industry right now?
The current state of the eVTOL industry.
Forgive me. I wanted to ask you, what is urban air mobility for the sake of those that don't really understand what the term is? Then we'll go to eVTOL.
Okay, I see. Yeah, thank you for the question, because we take it for so granted that everyone knows it, but it makes sense to clarify that. So it's more or less a new means of transport, and it's flying goods and people at lower altitudes within the urban and suburban areas. And urban air mobility envisions more or less a safe and efficient aviation transport system that will use highly automated aircraft that will operate and transport passengers and cargo as well.
Great. So now that we know what UAM is, let's now dive to what the current state of eVTOL is in the sector right now.
Okay, so right now in this field, there are approximately, I think now it's 400 companies developing eVTOLs, and already billions of dollars were spent in this field. And there is no doubt that 3D mobility will happen on a broad scale. The question is who will be the first and who will be the key players in this fast-growing new mobility market. And the eVTOL industry is currently undergoing a process in which various concepts for various different applications are being developed. And it's becoming increasingly clear which solutions are best suited for passenger transport as well as cargo transport, and per route lengths, respectively. Where are these limits?
So now I understand you're designing both cargo and passenger. So what are the challenges that remain in designing and manufacturing the cargo and passenger for a safe and reliable eVTOL?
Okay. So due to the fact that we are coming more or less from the helicopter side, so we downscale tools, and we consider helicopter as a tool instead of upscaling multi-copter systems. We have an advantage that we can stick to the existing EASA regulations. For instance, there is CS27, CSVLR. And by following these rules, we have good prerequisites to be able to present a very safe concept.
Great. So what are your universal selling points? Because one of the basic things that we're discussing in this having this podcast is a sustainability podcast, and I know that UAFs are tailored towards sustainability. So what are your unique selling points?
So our key advantages is that we have the most affordable, silent, efficient, and operable eVTOL in this whole category. And, for instance, if I pick one is the noise level. We have only a noise level of 55 dBA in an altitude of 150 meters, though this is unreachable. And this is, you can compare it with the noise of a dishwasher. And if you see in an urban area, usually you have 60 to 65 dBA. So if one of these devices would fly above you, you won't even hear it. And what we learned from history is that if you want to implement a new means of transport, it has to be better, more secure, easier, good to implement than any other means you have right now. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to go to a new means of transport. And if you want to implement such a means of transporting, it has to be affordable and available for the broad public, because otherwise people won't accept it.
Great. So I understand that, introducing any form of transport or any new form of transportation requires some regulation and infrastructure to back it up. So what will need to change in the current infrastructure regulation framework for eVTOL for it to be more widespread? At what point are you now?
So it's obvious that a new means of transport also needs a suitable infrastructure, as you already lined out. So together with our partner companies, we intend to use the existing aviation infrastructure and processes wherever possible. But we are quite aware of the fact that adoption in the air management system will be necessary to enable highly automated cargo and passenger vehicle to fly over populated area. And the same is true as well for hubs or for charging solutions.
Great. So at what point, now you're based in Austria, have you gotten some European regulations already? Do you plan to extend those to also check out? Because I know this is new, and so some civil aviation authorities need to update their regulations to be able to meet this new form of transportation. So what challenges are you encountering? Are they very receptive to this new form of transportation, or they are bottlenecks, so that we know how soon you can launch, and what are the challenges that you overcome to get to where you are now?
Yeah. So when we set up the company, the first thing where we went to Austrocontrol. Austrocontrol is the local air authorities, and we introduced our concept to them. So this was done by Jürgen Greil, our CEO, who developed this. We call it a smart electric mini helicopter. At least I call it so. And they were quite impressed about our solution, and they really support it. And every hard and software development step we do, we align with the air authorities. And this as well led to that end of last year, and what we are really proud of, we got the first certification step. So we got now the specific, specific category, say level 2. So we can operate our POC now under EASA rules and start testing it under EASA rules. And the next step will be to increase the sale level, which enables us from the beginning of 2025 or at least 2024 end of to have first commercial cargo applications. And then after increasing the sale level, we will go for the specific category, which allows us then to transport people over populated areas, which will be around end of 2026. So we have a 3-step approach concerning certification, which is aligned with the air authorities and with the regulations where we fit into.
Great. So what will be the economic, environmental, and social impact and benefits of eVTOL use over traditional aircraft?
So you mean the impact we do have concerning environment and so forth? Yeah, this is a very good question because that's actually what drives us. So we have an empty weight of 250 kilogram of our eVTOLs and a payload of up to 200 kilogram. And imagine right now, if you produce an electric car, it's around 2,000 kilogram empty weight. So we can produce 8 of our eVTOLs instead of with the same resources, then you can produce a car. And then we do need only a fraction of the infrastructure in comparison to a car. So as we substitute some of the cars, the traffic on the ground starts flowing again. And we save a lot of resources concerning infrastructure and so forth. And especially for Africa, this is very interesting because sometimes the road is not there or the infrastructure is not really good. And yeah, you can really have a kind of a leapfrog there. And till now, everyone talks about sustainability, but what is sustainability really? So till now it was social and economic sustainability, but we have as well the ecological side. So I call it the trinity of sustainability, and then it's really sustainable.
Thank you very much. I like how your concept is kind of looking at the broad range of sustainability in this entirety, not just economic and corporate, but also looking at the environmental and ecological, which is great, which is what the whole essence of this podcast was to understand the entirety of sustainability, both from the commercial side and, of course, to the environmental side. So you just mentioned Africa, which is what's going to lead me to my next question. So who and where are your target market? Does this include Africa?
Yes, of course, it does include Africa. So, we met each other in autumn last year, and I was really feeling happy to be there and felt that a lot of things are going on and emerging there. And I'm really curious to explore the African market. And I personally feel that Nigeria and South Africa will be kind of the forefront. And with various talks with our potential customers, and we signed already some MOUs, and this is in the field of Southeast Asia, of the MENA region, and India. For me, Africa is a very strong market with high demand, and I am quite certain that we can bring a huge benefit with our vehicles to this continent.
That would be great. I'm really, really looking forward to it because, like you said, it will help us to leapfrog. So my next question is, I know you've signed some MOUs and you've dealt some with some governments in some regions. So how are cities and governments preparing for the wide-scale introduction of eVTOLs? So now your introduction of your concept, how are they being receptive to it for areas that you've been to and have signed MOE so far?
Yeah, so this is quite hard to answer, to be honest, because different regions and countries deal with the topic of urban air mobility in many different ways. And this mainly has to do with the existing transport system, then the resulting problems out of it. You know exactly what I'm talking because you're smiling. Then the demographics of the population. So, for instance, Africa has a very young population and they lack technology. And this will be different, for instance, to Germany, where the population average is more than 50. So it's a huge difference. Then as well, the level of development and the available of resources, very important, and as well the political will to recognize urban air mobility as an opportunity to really leapfrog what you do a lot in Africa. So, for instance, with the handies, you did that as well, you know.
Great.
Yeah, so
Go
sorry.
ahead,
no, what I observe right now that there are many developments all over the world take place now to drive the initiative to make 3D mobility happen soon. So, for instance, Dubai just announced that they want to have air taxis, and 3 weeks ago, EASA and GACA met that they want to align. So many different initiatives all over the world just take place to make this happen.
So I see that you've been engaging a lot with the MENA region, especially in the Dubai with some conferences that you've been to. Do you think that they will be signing soon, with your concept, with your innovation? Because I think, of course, Dubai is always in the forefront of technology. Do you think this is one of the first markets that you're going to be launching?
So right now I am in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at KAUST, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, and they are really thriving for new technologies and for pushing this 3D mobility. And why I am here is the reason that KAUST has its own airspace. So I've never heard of a university having its own airspace, but they actually do have a driving site for autonomous cars. So it's really advanced here. And we have the chance to test our devices and to implement, the charging system, the different hub requirements, the air traffic management control, and all of this. So this is a very nice test environment to really set up operations and know what we have to follow and what is needed to bring this in the air. And yeah, that's why I'm here right now.
Great. So are there plans for large-scale urban air transportation network using eVTOLs with your work that you're doing so far and the reception you're getting across board in different regions? Are there plans with this new innovation to scale this with the population being quadrupling with time? What feedbacks do you get from your conversations about your innovation?
You mean to scale it on a broad scale, or?
Yes, to scale it.
Yeah. So, of course, new forms of mobility also need the right infrastructure. And as we have already talked about, it's minimizing the expenses when you can use the existing infrastructure. But on the question how to scale it, I think there are so many different use cases. Imagine just for the cargo version, delivery of urgent goods, then port-to-shore operations, disaster relief, remote areas, and so forth. So I think there is no limit right now to this development, and this is definitely the future, and it's going to happen.
Great. So I understand you have two versions for the passenger and cargo. So I'll ask you a two-tiered question. So for the tell us the capacity and range and the description for each of the designs. So for the passenger, how many passengers can it take? How long can it last? What kind of distance can it go? Yeah, and for the cargo as well.
Sure, sure. So, as already mentioned, we develop a eVTOL family, and as you already mentioned, it's cargo and personal air vehicle, because we learned from the automotive industry that you have to have different derivatives to make money, and so we start with the cargo version, and the cargo version is capable to transport up to 200 kilogram in the size of a Euro pallet with a roll-on and roll-off system, meaning you can load it from the front side or the rear side. And then we do have a single-seater and a twin-seater. Why do we go for small sizes, single and twin-seater? Because 8 out of 10 cars is only sitting one person in there. And you use 2 tons to transport one person from A to B, and from the ecological and economical side, this doesn't make sense. So most of the time it will be commuters using our devices, and therefore we decided to have a single and a twin-seater. And concerning your other questions, we have a range of 50 kilometers, which leads to a flight time of 30 minutes and a velocity up to 130 kilometers per hour. And the noise emission I already mentioned is 55 dBA. Yeah.
So these things are running, this aircraft will run, the air taxi will run on batteries. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
What kind of batteries, and how are you developing? Are there going to be longer range of develop batteries for longer range, for longer distance? Tell me the capability and the capacity of the batteries that drive this air taxi.
Yeah. So to be very clear, we can work with the existing battery technology. This is absolutely sufficient for us, because many others, they just say, okay, there will be double capacity of the battery and so forth. We don't believe that, and we don't need that, first of all. And we approached this issue of energy storage holistically. So what does it mean? The amount of battery performance, energy density, and power supply obviously depends on the weight of the vehicle. So we have a very light vehicle, and as well the efficiency of lift generating and how the layout of the total drivetrain is designed. And this allows us to use an air-cooled battery, and we have approximately 20,000 cells, and it's designed in such a way that the battery housing is part of the primer structure of the cabin, which as well leads to reduction of the weight of the vehicle.
Thank you, Yvonne. So as we approach descent for us to come to land on the show, I wanted to ask you, what are the safety challenges with your innovation, with your air taxi?
Can you repeat that? Because acoustically, I couldn't get it.
Okay, so I was saying, are there any safety challenges to overcome with developing your air taxi?
Okay, so obviously we can just talk for our company and not speak for the industry. But as mentioned, we follow EASA regulations, and our concept is coming from the helicopter side. And this is a proven technology for decades now, and it's designed in such a way that operational procedures meet aviation standards. And therefore, I am quite certain that we are on the right way, and that there does not show up some, critical issues.
Great, because it's great to know, because aviation is a highly regulated and safety conscious environment, so you cannot do any innovation and any idea outside some
Exactly.
certifications and regulations. So it's great to know that you are EASA certified. So my last question will be, when do you plan to roll out?
To roll out, that's a very good question. So as mentioned, we right now do the initial testings, or the initial testings are at Salzburg Airport, where we have set up the POC now. And this summer, we will have a POC here at Coast in Saudi Arabia. And then we see if it's possible to have the first cargo cases here to do, and we have some ongoing discussions, and it depends on who is allowing us to set up the operations first. So, for instance, we are talking with an Indonesian company who has many operations on different islands, and he wants to connect the islands. And we are as well talking, for instance, delivery of oil platforms. So many different applications, and it depends actually on the regulation side and on the countries who really intend to implement this new means of transport, and that's where we launch it. I cannot give you a clear answer now. I can just tell you my intentions, but we are depending on the authorities.
Great. So do you have a projection? Like, we intend to launch in 2030, 2025. Are there projections where you intend to launch the passenger and the cargo? So can you tell us your projection?
As mentioned, we want to have first cargo commercial applications end of 2024, and end of 2026, we want to have first applications with our PAV, means personal air vehicle.
Great. So quickly, let's talk about investment, because I know there's huge investment that goes into this. So look at me as a layman. I don't really know about the industry, but if I want to, I'm looking for investment. That's one. If already you are not looking for investment, and I'm supposed to be a customer, and I come and ask you that I need 220 passenger type air taxis from FlyNow. Is this something that can readily produce? How long will it take? Or you're waiting for the regulations or the requests from organizations and companies before you can do all this? So first question is, let's talk about investments. Are you looking for investments, or already have investments to roll this out? Secondly, how do you roll this out if somebody makes a request on an order to say, I need this air taxis?
Yeah. So first of all, we don't wait for any regulations or things, because we know our certification path, and we know that there is a way to operate these eVTOLs, because the demand is huge. And so therefore, we now develop 3 prototypes now. We have a smaller model operating already for 100 of flights, and we now go our way, and we start this year with serious development, and next year with implementing this serious development. And yes, concerning the investment, we are as every startup, we are always looking for money to join our company. So we were very lucky that we got some funds from the Austrian government. We have a VC right now. We have a private investor in. Some of our suppliers and customer invested a little money as well. So in total, we have approximately 12 million euro in this company now. And with this 12 million euro, I think we did an amazing job what we developed for this. And right now we do a bridging kind of financing round of 4 million euro in order to finish the tests, which end up in a maiden flight. And after the maiden flight, we expect a valuation jump between 5 to 8 times. And then we go go for the next round as well this year, which will be 40 million euro. And next year we go for a round of 150 million euro. And this will be divided between equity and debt.
Great. So the first, yes, that answers my question. So your first time of coming to Africa, if I'm correct, was at our event in South Africa, and you have identified that Africa is a huge market, a potential huge market for FlyNow.
Absolutely.
So what are your plans to come to Africa more often, looking at this is Africa is one of your big target markets, and not forgetting that we are also going back to South Africa in September for Aviators Africa conference this year, and of course, I'm sure that you're going to do a return, for that event. But tell me, do you have any plans of coming to Africa more often to interface with organizations, regulators about your initiative?
Yeah, so absolutely. I am still in very nice talks with Arun from South Africa Aviation Authorities, and we are in close collaboration since, and I have some talks in Nigeria. And yeah, I would love to come to your next event, wherever it is. Just let me know. And yes, I want to explore that further, and I want to explore some collaborations, and as well in the IT sector, because this is a huge development taking place right now in Africa. And so, yes, I definitely want to come, and I definitely want to push it, and I definitely look for really good collaborations.
Thank you, Yvonne. As we have come to land on this episode, is there anything that you want our listeners to know that I've asked you yet? And secondly, where can we engage with, or where can our listeners engage with you or FlyNow? How can you be reached? That is one. Secondly, is there anything you want us to know that I haven't asked you yet?
Okay, thank you so much. So anytime, I'm happy if someone is contacting me. I am on LinkedIn, Yvonne Winter, FlyNow Aviation. So we have LinkedIn profile and as well a web page, which is www.flynow-aviation.com. And contact me via LinkedIn, via our homepage, via, whatever. I am happy to answer the questions, to get engaged with you. And I think really to have a last sentence, so to say, I think it's a leapfrog for human mankind. I think the environment needs it, and it has a skyrocketing business case. Join us on our journey to revolutionize not only 3D mobility.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I've been talking to Yvonne Winter, the Chief Operating Officer of FlyNow Aviation based out of Austria, a company that is investing in revolutionizing the urban air mobility. Join us next time as we bring you some fresh episodes. Yvonne, it's been nice talking to you, and see you some other time.
Thank you so much, Tony. Appreciate it. Have a great time. And to everyone, love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now. Follow us. My name is Tony Okajuku. Follow us on social media at Tony Okajuku on LinkedIn and Facebook on social media platforms. See you next time. Bye-bye.
See you.